Massachusetts Center for Interdisciplinary Renaissance Studies occupies the former 32-acre estate of Toby and Janet Dakin, given to the university, which in turn was given to the Renaissance Center by Chancellor David Scott. I'm sitting here in the reading room, and it's filled with a whole wall full of reference books which are basic to the field of study from 1400 to 1700, all areas of knowledge in the Renaissance.
Our collection is a teaching library. It contains 35,000 items, including 1,000 books that were printed between 1400 and 1700. One of my jobs is to make sure that these works do not stay in our library gathering dust. Books are not supposed to be something that people collect and then they hoard away. They're stuff that people are supposed to read. So it's a chance for people to study at the university to actually handle books that were printed in the 16th century.
We have developed an extraordinary curriculum of graduate and undergraduate courses, of seminars and conferences, of lectures, of distinguished visiting scholars who stay for sometimes a week at a time, as well as concerts for the public, theater performances for the public, and other special events.
We're a research center, but it's not the only thing we are. We are a center that is really involved with community outreach. So we are very invested in that, and I think that the garden project is kind of a really nice example of what we do here.
We started doing research on what a 16th century Renaissance kitchen garden might look like for the common person especially. And we came in because they were in need of students to do the research and find out what these gardens looked like, what people were growing in the Renaissance, and created a botanical list of Renaissance plants that we were going to put in it. The garden contains 48 plant species. It is a Renaissance kitchen garden, so it's mainly herbs and vegetables. There are a couple flowers, but it really wasn't the aesthetic, let's spend time and enjoy sitting in this garden as much as it was the daily supply closet for people in the Renaissance. From the common person all the way up to people of royalty, the kitchen garden was vital to everyday existence. In my design of the garden, I was really conscious of using companion planting, which was also used in the Renaissance. So, as an example, with the cabbage and kale, I planted tansy next to it to help the budding of the plant, and also insect control. Although, as you can see, some insects still get it.
We're very interested in keeping to Renaissance methodologies, and so to use natural materials in the garden as pesticides, to use the goats as a clearing mechanism for overgrowth in shrubs. And they didn't take very long, several hours, to munch their way through an area that now is cleared and is ready for planting in the spring. So it's not just planting, but it's methodology that we're hoping to be historic about.
The Renaissance Kitchen Garden provides a really wonderful teaching opportunity as a place where people can either just come on their own and learn about what they recognize is still being grown today and what they don't recognize, and learn about how it was used in the Renaissance and how that relates to everyday culture. Or scholars can come here and get more of a hands-on interaction with what was happening in the daily garden of the Renaissance.
The goals of the Renaissance Center are not just to recreate an interesting historic space, but it's to reach out to the community, to bring people here so that they can come and learn about what was done in the Renaissance, but also what we can learn from the Renaissance, how people in their own gardens, for example, can learn that they too can have goats to clear an area, or that they can use natural materials. So we're thinking of ourselves very much as an educational institution for the community. We welcome school groups and individuals to come and learn something about the Renaissance, and hopefully something that you will be able to bring back to your own experience as well.
University of Massachusetts Amherst has been generous in giving us the monies for staff salaries and for the operation of this building and for some of the upkeep of the building. But we still have to raise a good deal of money for the programming, and we're very fortunate in having more than 300 local people give us support each year. Now, what has become apparent is the additional need for a great hall. The Great Hall will be built just to the north of the main house, and you will be entering through a foyer which will also serve as an exhibit place for various changing exhibits dealing with events at the Great Hall, perhaps music, perhaps theater, perhaps paintings, perhaps a photographic exhibit. And then we'll take you into a hall which is really a banqueting hall with tables and chairs. Although we can change that setting to a regular kind of auditorium setting when we have lectures and conferences. The most extraordinary thing that I've learned in the last few years is that 80% of the performances in Shakespeare's time were done in manor halls, town halls, or manor houses out in the country. That is, more performances were staged in the country than ever in London or the Globe Theatre. But when we go to see Shakespeare as he was staged, we see him in the Globe. That, for most of the performances, is wrong. But what did it look like in a great hall? What did it look like in the place where almost all of the performances were being staged? We don't know. Our great hall will be built to try that out. That's what we hope to do in the Great Hall. And more than that, we hope to have the acoustics that they had in the 16th century. So when you hear a concert, you're going to hear the sounds they heard then, not the sounds you've been hearing now or on your CD player. So primarily what we'll be doing is recreating the Renaissance in a place that nowhere in the world at the moment is that creation being held. So we'll be expanding the capacity of the center and expanding all the possibilities that you can find here.